All right. Last episode for this run, for this chunk of the seasonal wrap up show. We got 8 shows left, starting with Cultural Exchange with a Game Center Girl. Did not hear anyone talk about this. I'm going to guess this is some kind of comedy series with arcade games maybe? Not entirely sure, but let's find out.
Why does it feel so slow? Like the pacing of everything, like the micro level pacing, like the shot to shot pacing just feels so slow and dragged out. And it just makes it so incredibly difficult to pay attention because it's just dragging out these shots. It makes it boring. Also, apparently the main girl in this is British. She drops a bloody hell at one point. It's some of the more convincing English that I've heard. It's definitely not appallingly bad, but as a native English speaker, it still sounds like a Japanese person speaking English. Yeah, this one's just really, really boring. Character design's cute, but man, this is fucking boring.
All right. Cultural Exchange is off the list. Next is Ruri Rocks, which is I believe, a slice of life series about geology, cute girls doing cute things. This is one of the ones that I might still finish from this list. Actually, let's take some stock of this right now. I think Ruri Rocks, Nukitashi, and Witch Watch are like the potential finishes, and then obviously Panty and Stocking. Not saying that the other 3 are dead in the water, but those are the ones I'm looking out for at this point. So still a lot of potential finishes in here. But anyway, this one's from the Mushoku Tensei studio, I believe. And I liked what they did with Onimai, so let's see what they do with this.
Alright, that was a damn good time. Really fun show. Just finished up Ruri Rocks. Might be my favorite single season of a Cute Girls Do Hobbies show so far. Like, this is definitely, or at the very least, like, just like or maybe not like, I phrased that wrong. This is definitely up there for me with Cute Girls Do Hobbies shows. This is up there with like the second season of Yuru Camp and like the later seasons of Yama no Susume and that stuff. This was incredibly engrossing from a like educational standpoint. Triggers the autistic need to know about rocks. Yeah, this was the what am I saying? The educational parts of this are definitely the biggest draw, I think. Doesn't hurt that it looks incredibly gorgeous. We'll get to that, but it is definitely very corely focused on the rock stuff and getting that information across in a manner that's both very entertaining and very informative, and also just sort of leading the viewer on this path through scientific discovery, like going through the scientific method of testing different sites for different minerals and stuff, just all the different methods and procedures that they use are very engrossing. I feel like I learned a lot from this show, which is probably information that I don't need right now because I am trying to cram a bunch of other knowledge into my head for a future job. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe this was just like a nice escape from that. I just had a ton of fun learning about rocks and learning why certain rocks look certain ways, like the structures of different crystals and like the banding on certain rock formations and stuff like that. All very fun to watch. With a little bit of a nice little character arc layered over this of Ruri being starting as someone who just really likes how crystals look, and then eventually becoming someone who is just obsessed with how crystals form and how everything came to be the way it is. Sort of leading into this central theme of this work being like appreciation for the natural world and how everything came to be the way that it is, the millions upon millions of years that it took for things to look a certain way or act a certain way, or to like just the way the entire world is set up was just so very fun and engrossing to watch. Also because the characters are very fun to watch. I really liked Ruri. Definitely one of my at least top 3 cute girls doing hobbies protagonists. Mostly because she's like the first half of the series, maybe a little more than that, she's just like a fucking brat. It was really great to see just like this very temperamental and like just extremely stubborn in a lot of ways, but still also very dedicated to learning this new hobby. Like almost in a way that like the stubbornness kind of feeds into her dedication in a way, or at least it turns into that eventually. That was just very fun. Most the other characters are also really solid. I like the sort of klutzy nerdiness of Imari, and just the Nagi is just sort of like the most mature one of the group, and then forget what the last girl's name is. But I forget. Damn, I forgot what her name is. But her backstory of being really into rocks and like no one around her really getting how into rocks she is, and then her eventually finding her place amongst all of these people was very satisfying. Also, I liked that I kind of liked the dichotomy between like the high school age characters and the college age, like graduate level age characters. Like, so we have much more of a mentor-mentee relationship than just the usual senpai-kohai dynamic. We have a much bigger age range, and so you can definitely feel like the wisdom gap there, and also obviously the knowledge gap of someone who is at a graduate level studying mineralogy versus someone who is just now getting into the hobby. Nagi was very good teacher character, which makes sense and so it makes sense that she wants to be a college professor. I think her skills line up very well there. Yeah, this is just an incredibly fun series from all angles, especially the animation and the artwork. Occasionally, it falls into the cute girls do hobbies gap of compositing issues, but not nearly as much as I was expecting. Normally with a lot of these, because it's like with these kind of shows, you want the backgrounds and the objects of the hobby, and in this case the minerals and the rocks, to be as realistic and detailed and as exact as possible, and then you layer over these abstracty moe anime characters, so a lot of times they will stand out a lot. But that wasn't a huge issue in this one. It wasn't not an issue, but it wasn't as huge an issue as I was expecting. The gems are incredibly cool to look at and often gorgeous. The lighting in this show is so over the top and beautiful and extravagant. Whether it's just the way that light is reflected through these different crystals or off the surfaces of rocks, or these magnificent like sunset scapes. Just incredibly gorgeous to look at. Really strong character designs. A lot of these characters are caked up. They put a lot of these characters in jeans and want you to notice, which was very fun. Not something I'm used to from a Cute Girls Do Hobbies kind of show, but very fun to see that. And just the general animation is really solid as well. A lot of very fun and abstracty kind of movements, very zany comedy in a very fluid and Sakuga-esque kind of way. Character acting is very exaggerated in a very fun way, but also very detailed in certain ways. And just some of the movements in terms of like the actual like getting the minerals out and stuff were very detailed and fun to see. Yeah, this was just a really damn fun show. Also, the soundtrack is really beautiful to listen to as well. A lot of these big orchestral swells to it to make the grandeur of everything feel that much more impressive. Yeah, this is definitely way up there in terms of Cute Girls Do Hobbies stuff for me. Very, very, very fun. Would highly recommend if this is your bag. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting another season because they kind of leave off they kind of do like the flash forward final scene at the very end. So that's indicative of the fact that they are either not interested in doing a second season or there is not enough interest from the audience to do a second season. If it came around, I would certainly watch it, but also I'm content with there not being another one because I think we wrapped up all of these character arcs pretty well, especially with Ruri's arc of just sort of figuring out what she wants to do with this new hobby of hers at the very end. Wrapped up pretty nicely. So, yeah, fun times were had.
All right, Ruri Rocks is complete. We're going to scroll pretty high up on the list here, and we're going to put you in the number 8 spot as of now with a decent 8. Really damn good slice of life Cute Girls Do Hobbies show. Damn fun. All right. Up next, what do we got? Hotel Inhumans. Have not heard anyone talk about this one at all. Have no idea what to expect other than probably something supernatural. Let's give it a go.
What the hell was the point of that? I got like a few minutes in. It's just like a crime drama, I guess, or an crime action series. Really poorly paced in terms of like information and stuff. Animation's dog shit. Like, one of the first shots was like a car driving down an alleyway, and the only way I could describe what I was looking at was, wow, that car sure is changing in size as it goes down this alleyway. It was not good. Not good. Action scenes pretty terrible. And then it just immediately jumped into the guy's backstory, and I couldn't even tell it was the guy's backstory at first because the character models look so very different. But also, apparently, I looked at the Mal page, and these aren't even the main characters. So, who gives a fuck? This is bad. It's just bad.
Alright, Hotel Inhumans. Bye-bye. Next. Down to the last 5 shows, and leading off that final pack is Sword of the Demon Hunter. This is a 2-core series, and the last high dive show on the list. Haven't heard anyone say anything about this show, but I know there are some people who watch it. Can't imagine anything other than generic action supernatural series, but let's see if it's got the juice.
So normally I don't like to get very academic or procedural about stuff that I watch and like whether or not I should continue watching something. But I do have like a couple general rules, which is, and one of those rules is if I don't know anything significant about the main character within like 5 minutes, or I should say, if I don't know anything interesting about the main character in like 5 minutes, that's a bad sign. First of all, this is a goddamn double length episode, so fuck off. But also, more so, it got to like 5 minutes in. It's a very slow 5 minutes. It is so slow. Just nothing interesting happening aside from, I guess the little sister has some kind of demon in her based on her eye. But we don't know anything that would be intriguing about that. And we don't know anything about the older brother character other than he wants to protect his little sister. So that's like 1,000 other older brother characters in anime. And we got some hints that the little sister is about to be jealous of the other girl in the family that they are about to stay with because she thinks the Brocon so and so, whatever. But none of these characters are interesting. Nothing that's happened is interesting. It is all the most bland, generic setup possible. It is. I could have come up with this in like 30 seconds. There is nothing that has happened so far is unique, intriguing, or engaging on any level whatsoever. And it also doesn't look particularly good. The only thing that looked good was like the background shots or like the village scape shot as they were entering the village. That's the only thing that looked kind of okay. Character designs are extremely fucking generic. And it's not animated super well. It's just so incredibly bland. This is like beige paint on a wall. Like, you see the wall behind me? It's like that. It's that. It is beige or eggshell white paint. It is so bland and so nothing.
Alright, Sword of the Demon Hunter, go bye-bye. Next, Summer Pockets. This is an adaptation of a visual novel, and I believe it's a key visual novel, but it's not directed by what's-his-face, the Clanad guy. I can't remember who that guy is. It's been so long since I've said his name, but it's not him. It's a different guy working at Key. I don't even know if that guy works at Key anymore. Now I'm going to have to look up his name after this. But anyway, haven't heard anyone talk about this show. Let's give it a shot.
There's really nothing remarkable going on here. Jun Maeda was the name I was thinking of, by the way. Jun Maeda, who did all of the very extremely melodramatic Key stuff, which might happen at some point in this series because this is a romance drama in very Key fashion so far, but there's no hook, really. I've seen a lot of these tropes so many times in other places, and there's nothing about the way they are being executed here that makes me think like, oh damn, I gotta stick around for more of this. It's just very... Now, granted, it is taking its time. It is definitely being very deliberate in its revealing of information. And there's nothing, like, incompetent about it. There is nothing necessarily bad so far about this show. The main character is kind of a dork, kind of full of a little bit of a pretentiousness, but I think that's the point. But he's also kind of bland otherwise. Like, I feel like by this point, like halfway through the first episode of Clanad, I knew a lot more about like Tomoya than I do about Hairi. That's his name. And also, really not good performance by Konomi Kohara, for who I presume is the main girl in this show, this silver-haired girl. Really not impressive performance from her, which is pretty rare. At least from what I've seen so far, it's just very underwhelming. If you don't know, she did fucking what's her face in Kaguya, the pink-haired girl. Why can't I remember what her name is? Why can't I remember that character's name? I can't remember any names ever anymore. I just can't remember names anymore. I don't know why. I just can't. Fuck, that's gonna bother me. Whatever. Underwhelming performance from her. Character designs are fine, but not particularly interesting. Overall art presentation is fine. Occasionally there will be some cool stuff, like there was this extremely hyper-realistic render of waves hitting a beach. But aside from that, it's just fine. Everything about this is fine, and I'm really not looking for fine. Like, there's... Again, I shouldn't compare it to Clanad, but it is a romance drama by Key. So I'm going to compare it to Clanad. And by this point in Clanad, so much interesting stuff has happened. I do need to get around to the other ones at some point. I haven't seen Error Canon. I watched a little bit of Rewrite, and then it kind of jumped the shark a little bit after a few episodes. Yeah, I need to go back to Jun Maeda's earlier stuff. I don't even know who wrote or directed this one, but yeah, it's just kind of fine. Not really interesting.
Alright, Summer Pockets is off the list. We're down to the final three, all three of which have, I believe, a decent likelihood of me finishing them, so this might end up being a very long video. But in any case, Nukitashi the Animation. This one is, I believe, some extreme ecchi, to the point where it had a censored and uncensored version for broadcast. I'm down for stuff that's like good and does that, so let's dive in.
Okay. So, I get it. I get what it's going for. If I assume correctly, this is a show that wants to use the extremes of porn language to have a actual conversation about how we look at and talk about sex and porn and consent and all of that stuff. Noble effort. Two problems. One, the show's not funny. It's just not... For a comedy, which this is listed as a comedy, it's not funny. It is too extreme with its porn language and porn setup, which I knew there was going to be some of that involved. I knew that was going to happen. I've seen like GIFs of this show and stuff and like short clips. But even then, I was blown away by how fucking extreme it gets. And it's also just non-stop. It is a fucking barrage from word go. I got halfway through the first episode, by the way. I got about halfway. And it's just... It's so overbearing that it becomes not funny. And it just does not click for me. And it's not that it's just like I don't think sex jokes are funny. I really like Shimonetta. Or at least I really liked Shimonetta when it first came out. I haven't watched it since then. And I think it's been a little over a decade now since Shimonetta came out. I think that was 2015. That was either 2015 or 2014. I can't remember. It was one of those 2 years. I think it was 2015. But anyway, I really liked Shimonetta. And the other thing that Shimonetta has over Nukitashi is that Nukitashi looks like garbage. It's not pleasant to look at in any way. Like, there was one moment that I found kind of hot where it was like the low angle shot of the class rep's tits moving back and forth. That was kind of hot. But aside from that, and I don't think a lot of the stuff in this is supposed to be like just straightforwardly hot at the moment. At least some of the stuff that I saw, it's supposed to also be comedic. But also I think it should be at least a little hot. Or unless it's going for the angle of like our POV character who does not find any of this attractive in any way. Which, if that's what it's going for, okay. But it also just doesn't... The animation itself just doesn't look good a lot of the times. The character models are very basic and very not interesting to look at and often very scuffed. There's a lot of scuff in here. The little sister character's hot. I'll say that much. But aside from her, not a whole lot else. Which is an advantage Shimonetta had over this show, is that Shimonetta is actually a good-looking show. And this is not. So, A, not funny. B, not good-looking. So, those are like the two biggest strikes right there. And even if it's only 11 episodes long, I just don't see myself working my way through this whole thing. It's just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's too much and not done well enough. That's a good way. It is too much that is not done well enough.
Alright, Nukitashi is coming off the list, unfortunately. Last two-core show of the season, Witch Watch. This is a Shonen Jump gag series that I have been hearing about forever. No, I know a few people watched this anime adaptation. It got a lot of buzz in the beginning, and then just kind of the overall interest seemed to just dip off. But let's see how funny this gag series is.
Okay, that was definitely a comedy series that, on the whole, I would say I enjoyed. Not consistently, but on the whole, I think I definitely enjoyed this one. This is a Shonen Jump gag series from, I believe, the author of Sket Dance. I have not seen or read Sket Dance, and I know basically nothing about it. And I'm also not super well versed on gag manga. I know Gintama, and Gintama is like one of my favorite anime of all time, so that's certainly up there. But I don't really know a bunch of others. I know I watched like I think 9 episodes of Me and Roboco, but that was a short series, so it was pretty easy to blaze through that. Gag series typically don't land in my realm of like preferred genre because the humor is so grating's the wrong word, intense, I guess. The intent behind the humor is so intense in a lot of gag manga that if it doesn't land, it really doesn't land. And there are definitely some ones in here, not necessarily jokes that didn't land, but jokes that are just not my preferred type of humor. In particular, there is a lot of cringe humor in this, like intentional cringe. And those parts, I was just like, my skin was crawling. I was pausing the episode every 2 minutes because I just could not take it. I do not like cringe humor. It is not my brand. Everything else, though, ranging from mildly funny to really goddamn hilarious to holy shit, there was a lot of thought put into this joke. Like, there are so many gags in here that where I was like, I was laughing just as much as I was being amazed at the scale of the joke, the scope that went into the setup and the punchline for it. Like I forget which episode, I think it's episode 9. It's the one where there's a character that basically acts like someone from like a language textbook. Like if you remember, if you've ever done, like not even like if you've ever done a foreign language, like it's the characters in those scenarios in like foreign language textbooks. Or even just like regular language textbooks teaching you like grammar. But mostly like foreign language stuff where it's like the sentence is overly formal and very basic in ways that aren't like how people normally talk. And they focus a lot on like vocabulary and common phrases and stuff. Like as soon as I realized that was what was happening, I was fucking blown away. A, that he would even come up with a scenario like that. And B, at just how well executed it is. It is so that to a T that it's just like, it's kind of amazing. Like, I found that's the interesting thing about this. I found myself, maybe even more so than laughing, I found myself just analyzing the structure of the joke and being fascinated by that. Also, lots of Shonen Jump references. So many Shonen Jump references that are not even like allusions to or censored references, just straight up, yeah, let's talk about Demon Slayer. Yeah, here's Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball flying across the screen for 4 frames. Gonna talk about like, I think they've mentioned One Piece at some point, probably. A lot of Dragon Ball, obviously. Like, a guy shows up wearing Mr. Roshi's turtle shell at some point. They really want you to know that this is a Shonen Jump manga. I didn't mind. It was funny. Yeah, it's just a great... It's a very fun gag series to sort of like look at the jokes, I guess is the way I'm putting it. And also the characters are super fun and surprisingly fleshed out, I guess. There's a lot more detail and nuance to these characters than you would expect from a show that's just comedy, I guess. Although actually, now that I think about it, a lot of the good shows that are just comedy have that aspect to them. Like I talked about it in City a lot, about the nuance to the different characters and their motivations and their specific quirks and stuff. Gintama, there's a lot of nuance there. So yeah, I really enjoyed the characters in this. Morihito, or Moi-chan, might be my favorite in the show because he's just his archetype is like the stoic bodyguard kind of character, but also he has a bit of the not good at expressing himself side to it, but also he has some very specific interests that feel like they fit really well with his character. Like the way he approaches fashion is very interesting, and his like, again, kind of like what I just did, his interest in the analysis of comedy is very funny and just very endearing, and a whole lot of the characters are just like that. We have like Keigo, this super hipstery kind of character, and sort of the way that his personality formed as the result of incidents in his life, in particular like his injury that not only cratered his skating career but also severely injured his mom, and just sort of the nuances that go into how his character is constructed with that. Why am I blanking on the main girl's name at this point? I'm getting worse and worse with names as time goes on, and that's a little concerning. Maybe just because I'm cramming so many names into my brain as possible, but this is really bugging me, so I'm just gonna walk over here and look at the Mal page. Nico, that's the name, Nico. Very fun character with a just outright romance subplot to it. I know I already looked up to get at the Mal page, but I'm not I don't think this is classified as a romance, but there is definitely a very notable romance subplot to this between Nico and Morihito, at least in her mostly one-sided crush on him, and how she is trying to get him to express himself more to see if his feelings might be reciprocated, and maybe they're growing. There's a specific episode that touches on that. And I found their interactions to be very sweet and fun, even when when Nico is being the funny man to Morihito's straight man with just her wacky shenanigans. And also, I like that they vary up who the funny man and straight man are in each scenario. Like, it's never devoted to just one person. Everyone has their bizarre weirdo moments, and everyone has their reacting to the bizarre weirdo moment. So that helped balance out the comedy a lot. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Been a long day, a lot of studying today, but yeah, I really enjoyed the cast of this. I do wish the animation was a little stronger, but also, this is a show that definitely picks and chooses what moments it wants to look great. And, well, great's a strong word. Really good. It's a show that picks and chooses which moments it wants to look really good. There's a lot of jank outside of that. It never looks completely broken, but I would say that there is a very wide range to the overall quality of the animation, which I kind of expected from a gag series, because a lot of times characters are drawn bad on purpose. I don't think that's necessarily the case with the complaints that I'm making in the specific instances that I'm thinking of, but art quality is not necessarily the most important thing when you're watching a gag series. It's sort of how that art is used. And for the most part, I'd say it's used really well. The editing is really strong. The framing is really strong. The way punchlines are paced is really solid. And when it does need to look good, like the scene of Nico when she's shrunk down and in Morihito's pocket, there's like this visualization of the feelings inside her and this very interesting light imagery going on. That was very beautiful. That's probably my favorite shot in the whole, or series of shots in the whole series. Yeah, character designs are solid. They're definitely distinctive. I'm definitely going to remember him. Nico is very cute. But other than that, it's not a particularly good look, a particularly amazing looking production. But again, that was my expectation going in, and it's not necessarily the main focus. It's still not, I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but I'm just saying that's kind of what I expected. Yeah, this was a really fun show. I will be tuning in to season 2. I might pace out my viewing of it more next time, because this is not a show you want to binge, because the episodic nature will get to you after a while, especially if there's a lot of when the comedy doesn't hit. Yeah, I had a fun time.
Alright, Witch Watch is complete. We're going to scroll up and we're going to put you in the number thought I had a place where I was going to put you, but yeah, let's put you in the number 39 spot with a strong 6. Again, comedy's a little inconsistent in terms of what I like, and it's not the best looking series, so maybe I'll bump it up to a light 7, maybe not, who knows. And that just leaves one last series, new Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt. Probably shouldn't have put 2 episodic comedies back to back, but we'll see how that goes. I really liked the first season of Panty and Stocking. I did a video about it on the main channel that you can go watch. This is Trigger rescuing the property from Gynax. So let's see what they do with it.
Okay. That's the end of that. That was more Panty and Stocking. Just finished up new Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt. In a lot of ways, it's mostly more the same, but also some notable changes. Not necessarily in the visuals. The visuals are pretty much exactly what I remember them being. Granted, I think it's been over 5 years since I watched the first season of Panty and Stocking. I think that might have been pre-COVID, now that I think about it. So I have vague memories of what happened before, and I rewatched my video that I did for it on my main channel. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. It mostly holds up and is mostly the same opinions that I have as before. And this new season mostly follows in the spirit of that. This is a anime directly inspired by Western cartoons and also a lot of other Western media. Like, there's most of the parodies in this are like big Western franchises like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Terminator. They did a Lara Croft parody, and they had both Panty and Stocking wearing the two different Lara Croft outfits. That was a nice little Easter egg. Like, they had Stocking in like the big gray onesie kind of thing, and then they had Panty in the other outfit, the one with the short shorts. So fun little detail like that. And the parodies, they go pretty hard on like the parodies, and they go a lot of fun little Easter eggs like that. And also the comedy is mostly just as strong as I remember it. Again, it's been over 5 years, so I don't quite remember how hard I laughed, but I do remember that it was very entertaining all the way through. And so was this series. There were very few moments where I was not at least entertained by what was going on screen. And there were definitely a few jokes where I just busted a fucking gut laughing, which honestly doesn't happen all that much anymore for me, which might be kind of sad sounding now that I said it out loud. But it's pretty rare for a comedy series now to just actually make me bust a gut laughing. And there were at least two jokes in this show, at the very least two jokes in this show that just had me fucking dying. One was the super guy Jin character. Like, as soon as he's like, I am a super guy Jin, I'm like, you motherfuckers. That was actually a lot of my reaction to a lot of the jokes in this, is just me saying you motherfuckers at the screen with the most shit-eating grin possible. They're real cheeky. They're real cheeky, and you would not catch that one if you did not know, like, have a passing knowledge of Japanese. But it's also very funny considering that the character is this basically a weeaboo, or more accurately a Japanophile, I guess. But yeah, there was that, and then there was a joke with the Over Justice episodes, the ones that Akira Amamiya directed. It was just like he used an enemy to break through a wall to find another enemy. I can't describe the joke to you and make it be as funny as it happened, because it's just, I lost my fucking shit. It was so fucking funny. I had to pause the episode. So, like, the highs for the comedy are really fucking good, and the lows are not like terrible, but there is definitely a fucking range to how good the comedy is in this. Like, some of the jokes are just sort of like, come on, alright, I get the joke, let's move on. But that wasn't as much as I was expecting. Most of the jokes landed in the that was funny, in that kind of range. Like, and again, kind of like Witch Watch, I was just sort of blown away by the creativity. Like, there are just some jokes where I am just not even laughing, I'm just like staring in awe at it. Like the one where they all get transformed into, at first it's like old 80s cartoon aesthetics, but as the episode progresses, that becomes more like a Western comic book aesthetics. Like, Stocking just straight up becomes the Thing from the Fantastic Four. And just the sheer scope of the parody is sort of the main appeal in a lot of ways. Just how far they take the joke is just really fucking funny sometimes. An entire musical episode based around Panty being able to sing the word fuck, but not just say it normally in conversation. And they built a musical around that. Very funny, very good, and also just very cool to look at. This is a really solid production. You might not expect it based on how it looks, because it is very cartoony, and you might expect it to sort of mimic the minimalist style of a lot of older Western cartoons. But there is a fuck ton of effort going into this. Whether it's the color design is incredible. The scale of the simplicity of the animation allows them to do some really wacky shit and also make some really good animation. The fact that it's so simplified means that the CG blends really well with the 2D stuff. I didn't check the credits, but I'm assuming most of the CG stuff was done by Graphinica, because they share or I don't know if they still do, but they share an office building with Trigger. So, oh yeah, I forgot to. I think I probably mentioned this in the intro, but this is Hiroyuki Imaishi rescuing the Panty and Stocking IP from Gainax 15 years later. To be fair, Gainax has been doing some wacky shit with their old properties, and so it's good to see these properties getting bought up by the people who actually made them. That's good to see. Where was I? Oh yeah, also there's a lot of nudity in this, to the point where I was wondering how this aired. Like it's really cartoony nudity a lot of times, but also there was one scene where it was they just looked like regular titties. This is the second time in a row I'm talking about titties, because I just recorded the Virgin Punk review right before this. A lot of titties today. A lot of titties. And also like a little slit for the vagina. Like they just show that. Again, it's not a realistic depiction, so I guess they could get away with it that way. But there is a lot of genitalia in this, to the point where I was wondering how it got broadcast. And also one very risky joke about weed, considering how Japan and most of East Asia feels about weed. Like, it's a joke where it's like everyone gets stoned at the end. And I was just like, oh, that was also a funny little bit. I'll get into that later. But it was like, yeah, I was like, oh, this is a risky joke there. But also that sort of leads into like one of the things that's sort of not new about Panty and Stocking, but it's sort of updated for our current era, is its social commentary. Because that joke, the episode that joke's in, it's like they're trying to follow something on GPS, and it's like, okay, so you take a left at the dispensary, and then you take a right at the other dispensary, and then you take a left at this dispensary, and then you take another left at that dispensary. I was like, all right, good call there. There have been the explosion in dispensaries, at least in the places that I lived, has been remarkable in the past few years. And so it's a very funny observation, I guess. And there's a lot of stuff like that, in particular with our new characters of polyester and polyurethane, where they are just Zoomers. And I don't know exactly how the Japanese works with that, but I'm assuming based on how the subtitles were written that the Japanese gave them Zoomer slang, because they definitely talk with Zoomer slang in this one. I caught a few what the hellies which I only know about because I watch Cecilia Immergreen a lot. That is the only reason I know about that phrase. But also there was just a lot of like I saw at one point it was like we might be cooked or something. I was like, there is so it was like the perfect level of annoying Zoomer speak. It was the perfect level of that. Not to say that I don't use any of those words because I sure as hell do. As a young millennial, I guess. Young millennial who's 32 years old. Whatever. Yeah, there was a lot of very good societal observation comedy, I guess. And also it's sort of had to refocus its sort of general theming, I guess, just to sort of update it from the last season. I don't really remember what the overall theme from the last season was, other than the tried and true Emaishi theme of freedom and liberty and liberate and also sexual liberation and stuff like that. But this season also added in a lot of found family theming in this one. I was wondering if this season would have some of the like slower, more introspective moments like the first season did. Like in the first season we had the scene where Stocking went on had a relationship with this really gross ghost, and then he like passes away at the end, and it's just this very somber kind of moment. And we definitely got a few moments like that with Panty taking care of a ghost cat, and a lot of Panty moments in this one actually. Not, and then Panty and Knee Socks having a little birthday date together. I just realized there really weren't a lot of Stocking focused episodes in this one. She had the one where she had to wait in line for the thing, but really that was about it as far as I can remember. I remember there being a lot more balanced in the first season, and I'm just realizing now how unbalanced it was. I guess I'm a little disappointed by that in retrospect, but I didn't really notice while I was watching it. But yeah, Panty is definitely a slightly less important character in this season. Aside from the first episode, which I had no clue how this show was going to start. Based on how the last season ended with its fucking cliffhanger, oops, I'm actually a demon thing from Panty, where Gynax ruined Christmas for everyone, apparently. I loved the ending of the first season of Panty and Stocking, so I had no clue how this season was going to start. I was half expecting them to just ignore it and move on and be like, yeah, whatever, didn't matter. But they spend the whole first episode resolving that point, and it was really good. Really good. What else do I want to talk about? Geek Boy Briefs also gets a lot of focus this season as well. Not necessarily treated the best. He does get a little bit of, ooh, was that a little too harsh moments, but he was definitely a big standout character this season, as was one of our new characters, Gunsmith Bitch, who was just a very fun hammer space kind of character. Really enjoyed her. I was expecting more of some kind of banter or relationship or something between her and Briefs, but who knows. They did say to be continued next season at the end of this, because we got another big shit stupid fucking cliffhanger, because I think that's just how this show's going to be from now on. So I don't know if they're actually going to do another season. They haven't announced it yet, and it's been over a month since that to be continued. But who knows? We had to wait 15 years for this season. Maybe it'll just be another 15 more. There was one thing structurally, though, about this season that I think was a slight step down from the first season. It had a lot more quarter-length episodes. If you're not familiar with Panty Stocking, most of the episodes are half-length, are like A part and B part. So like you'll have a 25-minute or 24-minute episode, and then you'll have a 12-minute A part and a 12-minute B part, and they'll be two distinct plot lines, like a regular Western cartoon. This season introduced a lot of quarter-length episodes, so for quite a few of the like total episodes, you would get a 6-minute, a 6-minute, and then a 12-minute. Is how a lot of the episodes went. And I did like a lot of the gags in those 6-minute episodes, but also it really didn't give as much time for the concepts to develop. Maybe they were just like shotgunning ideas that they really didn't have enough material for. But if that's the case, then it does kind of show a little bit. Like, the only one in Season 1 that was like that was the one that had the music video in the middle of it. So, that was, I guess, the one thing where I was slightly disappointed in this new season, where a lot of the shotgunned ideas just didn't have as much meat to them as I would have liked. Other than that, really damn good. Oh, also, fucking love the soundtrack for this. Teddy Lloyd's soundtrack for this. It made me realize that anime needs to be bolder with its soundtracks. Like, a lot of anime just need to be more bold and make bigger musical, more bombastic, or just more striking musical choices. Like, on the more complex end of that would be something like Kensuke Ushio's work on the Chainsaw Man movie, which had some absolutely phenomenal musical attacks in that. So yes, anime soundtrack composers should be more bold. Like, I don't. Yeah, just do more. Fuck it, swing for the fences. Why not? You might end up with a Panty and Stocking. Yes, this was very, very good, and I believe this is Hiroyuki Imaishi's first sequel. I believe, because it's like Kill Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, Promare, Space Patrol Luluco, and then I think Panty and Stocking is the last one in it. And so then this one, and then there's Sex and Violence with Mach Speed, but that was a short film. So I think, unless I'm forgetting one, I think those are the only ones that he's done. And so this is his first sequel, and it turned out pretty well. There were a few things where I was slightly let down. Some of the gags just didn't hit, and I wasn't a fan of not that I wasn't a fan of the quarter-length episodes, but I think that we could have done with a little less of them and had some more like solid 12. Look at it, a solid 12-minute episode. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, good outing for his first sequel. I love Imaishi. He's one of my favorite directors. Will never turn down. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot about Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I forgot that was his. It's definitely less comedic than a lot of his other oeuvre. And that's getting a sequel soon, but it has not come yet. So, I will be anxiously awaiting that. And if Panty Stocking does get a season 3, I am absolutely down for that. Don't need it anytime in the near future. We can take as long as we want with that. Trigger is definitely like one of the studios where I'm just like, you guys just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, that's kind of goes for all my favorite studios. Actually, just take however long you want to make the good shit, and I will watch the good shit. It doesn't have to be cranked out one after another. You don't have to do it like, you don't have to do MAPPA levels of cranking out productions. You can just hold on to an idea until you're ready for it and then put it out. Works for Trigger, works for KyoAni. It's good. So yeah, if you were curious how the new Panty Stocking came out, it's basically just as good as the old one. A lot of things stayed the same. Few things changed up pretty notably, but in the end, still love these fucking bitches.
Alright, new Panty Stocking with Garterbelt is complete. And somewhere around here, fuck it, we're putting it just barely above 2B Hero X with a light. Whoop, almost knocked the camera over. That's gonna get a light 8. It's like dead on with 2B Hero X. So I'm just gonna like default to it being my preference. And with that, we are done with the summer season. Let's take a look at this. We blew well past our expected minimum, and our expected maximum was 20. So let's see, what do we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So a little bit closer to the maximum than the minimum, but still pretty much dead on right in there. And so that's it for the summer seasonal wrap-up shows. With all of the movies now, we are up to 50 shows completed from this season. Can you believe it? I can. I watch too much anime. Speaking of too much anime, it's almost time for the fall season. Uh-oh. We got a lot. We got so much. Not all of these might finish. Some of these might not finish until the next winter season, but until then, my name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.